Yeah, I did it. My hair's blue now, and to be honest, if you didn't know, you're just outing yourself for not following me on Instagram, where I've been posting about it all week, and I don't care. It's fine. Don't follow me, but you're missing out. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time brainstorming what to do for the first video of this new era, and I know what I've got to do. I've heard your cries. There's a certain thing I've neglected making videos about recently, and I don't know why, I just feel like I get hate anytime I make videos on this, but I've decided to ignore that today. I'm going back to my roots, which are brown, by the way, and I'm making a Toy Story video. And that's the intro, or the start of the video. It's an important part, sets the tone, and lets you know if you want to keep watching. Following this weird transition part, we're gonna reach the main substance of the video. I'm gonna go on for 12 minutes about why I think Toy Story 3 is great. You're probably gonna sit there like, ugh, Seamus is going on about Toy Story again, consider unsubscribing, but then realize I'm right and leave a comment about how great I am. Then we'll reach the end of the video, the most important part in my opinion, because whatever I say or do at the end is most likely to have a lasting impression on you, and if I do it effectively, maybe you'll remember it in like a week's time. I don't know, it's a YouTube video. It's not like Toy Story 3, which came out 10 years ago as of June this year, and oh my god, I'm getting old. And as endings go, I think I speak for many, many people when I say this is about as impactful as they come, which, just to clarify, when I'm talking about the ending of Toy Story 3, I'm talking about the sad part where Andy gave the toys away, not that bit with them all holding hands and embracing death when going into the incinerator. Like, I don't know how to put this, but if you think that's the sad part of Toy Story 3, you're watching these films wrong. You see, throughout the movies, there are a few moments where I just sit back and I don't know how to put it other than, this is Toy Story. Depicting this unexplainable connection us humans have with these inanimate objects for no apparent reason, and the end of Toy Story 3 is the most effective one of these throughout the entire tetralogy, in my opinion. And I've decided to make an entire video talking about, you know what, I've already covered this. Let's just get on with it. So to explain why, I've got to go all the way back to the start. You see, while Toy Story is all about Andy's toys, Andy's actual connection to them is almost never shown. He's hardly even in the first film, as most of the story is actually spent with the toys telling us how great he is, why being a toy is so important to them, and these toys are anything but inanimate objects, which I guess some people would argue is the point of the series because it's a toy story, and therefore if the toys were inanimate, they wouldn't come to life, and therefore nothing would really happen, and I can see your point, yeah. It probably wouldn't be very good. I'd still like it, but, you know, it wouldn't be as good, I guess, yeah. But in reality, we actually spend more of the film with Sid than Andy himself, and Sid's kind of like the anti-Andy, because, I don't know, he destroys toys while Andy plays them. That made sense in my head. And then in Toy Story 2, they crank this up to a whole nother level. Like, I don't know if people are gonna believe this number, but I've timed it. In Toy Story 2, Andy is on screen for less than 2 minutes. 1 minute and 41 seconds. Of course, that's assuming this scene where he comes back from cowboy camp early. Oh, I don't want to play with you anymore. But that doesn't count. It's a dream sequence or something. I don't know.
It's not real.
Again, the whole film is spent with the toys telling us how great he is, and without even having to see it, we just know. I'm gonna cry before the end of this video, aren't I? Then we reach Toy Story 3. There's been quite a significant time jump. We meet an older Andy and his toys who haven't been played with for years. Andy, once again, is hardly in the film, but we're constantly reminded of how great he must have been because his toys literally decide, eventually, they'd rather be stored in an attic than go to daycare, which, in fairness, was a lot. Then we reached the end of the film. Yeah, that's what the video is about. I'm sorry it took so long to get here, but I promise the context will be important later. Andy's about to leave for college with Woody while the rest of the gang have accepted storage up in the attic, and as things go, that would have been a relatively standard ending to a Toy Story film. I don't know, in Toy Story 1 and 2, the characters kind of end up where they set out to be at the start. Like, maybe they move house or bring some new friends home along the way, but the endings aren't exactly drastic, and that's fine. I think the first two films are perfectly satisfying the way they are. I wouldn't change them. But they got a bit more experimental and audacious by the later films, and I really like that. Matter of fact, I almost think the more thematically intriguing storytelling ideas explored in the later films wouldn't work without the steady groundwork from the first two. And yes, if you're wondering, I did use a thesaurus to write that sentence. I just used 3 10-letter words in a row. Thematically intriguing storytelling. I'm so proud of myself. And yes, if you're wondering, one day I probably will make a video on the genius behind Toy Story 4. Just gonna wait like 10 years for everyone to be nostalgic about it again. So I get all the views. All of them. Anyway, if Toy Story 3 ended with the toys being stored up in the attic, including some end credit scene where Woody comes back for Christmas and they're all celebrating with the Christmas decorations, it would have been fine. Nothing exceptional, but also not a complete letdown. However, twist ending, Woody, as he always does, starts to manipulate things and writes a note to Andy about what to do with the toys. And what on earth could it say? Surely he's not going to tell him to bring them back to Sunnyside. Like, I don't know, it was a long time ago. I was only 12, but it didn't even cross my mind that he'd be telling him to give them to Bonnie. She was just a small cameo character from early on in the film, but oh wow, doesn't that just make it the perfect setup? Like, I refuse to believe anyone worked this out, unless they managed to read the post-it note for the 7 frames it was on screen, and I'm pretty sure it's humanly impossible to have seen that. Play it back in real time. No way you seeing that. No one in the entire world worked it out, and if you comment you did, you're lying. And then, for the first time in the entire Toy Story series, Andy becomes the main character. The story is now centered around him as he takes the toys to Bonnie, and while obviously it's absolutely gut-wrenching to anyone who's ever had some sort of connection to toys themselves, what really makes it stand out to me is that for 6 straight minutes, the toys are actually inanimate objects. Yes, I timed it again. And this is subtle but very significant, because not only is it the longest moment like this throughout Toy Story, usually they do a few of these quick, oh, Andy's coming, make sure to freeze while the humans are watching scenes throughout the films, with the only other relatively long one being the actual first scene of Toy Story, where Andy's playing with Woody for about 3.5 minutes before he eventually comes to life. But it also means that basically the last 6 minutes of this Toy Story movie is about people. This film doesn't close with Woody learning something or teaching someone else something, at least directly. I don't know, that's how the other films end. Whereas here, the toys could genuinely not be alive for the last 6 minutes. Did I mention it was 6 minutes? 6 minutes. 6 whole minutes. Can you imagine if the other Toy Story films were like that? You'd have those first 3.5 minutes, the end. Yes, I agree. It probably wouldn't be very good, but for this specific section of the third film, it works splendidly and very cleverly reverses the roles of the story. For 3 straight films up until this point, we incessantly get told about how great Andy is, how much the toys love him, and now, for basically the first time ever, we get to see his side. He goes through each and every one of the toys, showing just how much they mean to him, which, for the record,
they mean a lot to me.
And I find this such an interesting angle for the story to take, as it's much more relatable to the audience watching, because let's be real, as much as you can try to put yourself in the shoes of the toys, you can never truly relate to what's going on. Like, yeah, if I thought I was a space ranger who could fly, finding out I was just a toy who couldn't fly would kinda suck. If I was left on a dime store shelf watching every other toy be bought other than myself, that would also be pretty sad. If my owner downright replaced me with another version of myself, that would be awful. I'd be furious. But as much as we can try to relate, we'll never truly be able to understand it from a personal standpoint, because it isn't exactly something that can happen to us. I don't know how to say this, but if you're watching this video, you aren't a toy. I mean, I assume everyone watching and at least understanding this video is a human, you know. Unless aliens come to Earth in the near future and start watching my videos. Or robots, I guess they can probably understand what I'm saying to an extent. And you know, the point is, this moment when Andy gives his toys away is actually something we can relate to. Anyone who's ever had or has a connection to a toy of theirs in some way can truly put themselves in Andy's shoes and understand this moment. Like, it does what all good films should and gets you thinking. Not about anything massively thought-provoking or productive, but the chances are if the message of this film stuck with you, you probably thought at some point afterwards, when was the last time I played with my favorite childhood toy? And if I was to place a guess, presumably you don't know or remember, because there wasn't just this said day where you decided to stop playing with it, so therefore you yourself probably never got to say goodbye to this inanimate object you had an unexplainable connection to, and in turn you can live this moment through Andy. And oh my god, it's so great! I already know the comments based on my other Toy Story videos are gonna be like, oh my god, this is so sad, they're just toys, grow up a bit. And honestly, it breaks my heart a little, because they just don't understand. And if you want to know a secret, I don't really get it either. I still have all of my toys kept in here. I've got RC, I've got Buzz, I've got Zurg, who's the best character in Toy Story, I've got Ham, I've got Bullseye, I've got Jessie, I've got Woody. You get the point. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Of course, there is a slight difference between the real world and the movies, being, in our case, the toys can't come to life. The toys can't come to life. That's your cue. Come on, do something. What are you doing? Okay, they're not, okay. No, still nothing. But then again, Andy never knew his toys were alive, and that didn't stop him from nearly crying on a few separate occasions. Oh my god, the way his heart breaks as Bonnie waves goodbye for Woody to him, and I feel like I mention this anytime I talk about the ending of Toy Story 3, but no one ever seems to know it's actually a reference to how he used to wave Woody's hand like that, and you can see he remembers, and it breaks his heart. Then there's that moment where he pulls away while Bonnie's about to take Woody, which actually, on that topic, remember when he first arrives at Bonnie's house and you're just clocking onto the twist ending, oh, Woody wrote on the note to give the toys to Bonnie, that makes perfect sense. And just as this is all happening, they pan inside the box where we believe Woody is, and there's a very clever shot from inside the box showing us what we believe Woody's perspective of it all is, which is again a very subtle touch to distract you from the other twist ending, because oh my god, he gives Woody away. You know, I mentioned I was gonna cry in this video. Cut it, cut. Seamus, you know you edit your own videos, right? Like, you don't need to tell me to cut it. I know to cut it, I was there. 2 twist endings, a complete change of pace making the events more relatable to the audience, finally concluding with the toys coming back to life and Woody saying his last goodbye to Andy, the kid who meant absolutely everything to him. Oh my god, keep it together, man! And it's funny because I often find with films that have exceptional endings, it kind of convinces me the film was better than it was. I don't know, I can think of so many movies that just have amazing endings, and yes, I'm looking at you, Rogue One. So I always try to avoid judging a film just based on its ending, and I'm not going to deny this film would be nowhere near as appreciated if it didn't end the way it did, but it still has its moments. It's an exceptional film on its own, meaning when you add that ending, I'm gonna need more than a thesaurus to find the words for that. It's like anytime you ask someone what their favorite Toy Story movie is, you've got about the same chances of guessing what they're gonna say as you do when rolling a 4-sided dice. 1 in 4, just like this pie chart demonstrates. And while the correct answer is all of them, I understand other people always want to have a favorite, and you can make strong arguments in favor of each one of them. And the biggest testament I can give to the ending of this film is that in my findings, anyone whose favorite is Toy Story 3, they always give the reason why as the ending. And for that reason, I think it's a perfect ending to a film. Not just this film, any film. This is the perfect ending. And for me, it's because it's so different to the rest of the series. They don't try and pull anything like this off in any of the other films. And I also think that's a good thing, because it means this scene truly stands out as a "this is Toy Story" moment. And with that, I guess we've reached the end of this video that I've been building up to. Hate to be that guy, but isn't going to be revolutionary in any way. I just wanted to make a video talking about my favorite ending to a film of all time. But maybe if I made this video effectively, you'll remember it in like a week's time. I don't know, this is a YouTube video. It has about the rewatchability of a 5-day test series cricket match. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking here. You can check out another Pixar video about why Monsters University is their most underrated film by clicking here, because Monsters University is Pixar's most underrated film, and you should definitely check that out. You can check out my Patreon here and in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Boom! Oh my god, I nearly broke the wall again. That was a reference to the last video that no one watched.